Very good. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our June 8th meeting, the quarterly meeting of ArkansasPBS, the Arkansas Educational Television Commission. And we're privileged to be here. We had a good turnout and have lots of good reports this morning. So we look forward to that. I don't have anything other than the call to order, and then we have our minutes of March 16th, which have been provided to you previously. Are there any additions or nothing? If none, someone want to make a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
I second it.
Got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. In terms of my report, I don't have anything to report other than that there will be a transition in leadership at the end of this meeting. At some point, we may get an update on where, if we're moving forward with any of the new commissioner positions.
But we're not allowing you to leave.
Some of us are hanging on, yes.
We appreciate
It's
that.
like a roach motel.
Go in, you never leave.
Or
You can't get out. You can come in, you can't get out.
Hotel California.
I get it. That works. That works too.
Okay, well, everyone's here because they want to be here. So, what do you mean? There is a timetable out there somewhere. So let's move ahead, Courtney, with your report.
Okay. Happy summer. Some of you look gorgeous in your summer duds today. You look gorgeous. In this summer's upcoming three-part documentary series, Southern Storytellers, Oscar-nominated and screenwriter and El Dorado native Qui Nguyen shares a really powerful realization that his Vietnamese grandmother used to tell him story after story after story, and he would say, "Why, grandmother, why are you telling me this over and over and over and over again?" And she said, "Because, you know, as a Vietnamese, as a refugee from the Vietnam War, he said, I didn't have anything else of value to give you. So I tell you these stories because these are the things that we carry with us every day and pass on to our kids." It's a really moving segment. So,
Sure.
it is.
Hey, Skip,
Hello,
welcome.
Skip. Hello, Skip. Welcome. Good.
Good. You've completed the circle. We're all here. Yeah, very good.
Thank you, Skip. So, like Qui, we all know that stories have staying power, and they're important to us, and preserving them and preserving Arkansas stories is very important to this state, and it's very important to Arkansas PBS. We feel like it's a huge role for us, and to tell these stories in a visual medium that kind of speak to your intellect, speak to your heart. So I'm happy to say that, and I want to thank up front Marge for writing the grant, that we have received a generous grant from the Arkansas Natural and Cultural Resource Council in the amount of $1.163 and some large change for the digitization and preservation of our massive Arkansas PBS archive.
That's very generous support.
Yes, it's fantastic. So we will be able to digitize all of our archive, and we will be able to create metadata.
All of the magnetic tape.
All of the magnetic tape, yes. The ones that we were really, really worried about, because that's what diminishes in quality fairly quickly after a certain period of time. So that has been on my mind and my conscience from day one in this job is how do we save those archives? So hallelujah, we're going to be doing that.
Wonderful.
And as a result, we're going to lean even more into telling Arkansas stories because we will be able to use, our very own archives to tell some of those stories. I will just mention the Southern Storytellers premieres July 18th nationwide, and it features 4 storytellers from Arkansas, 4 that hail from our state. In addition to Gwynn, who wrote Raya and the Last Dragon, it also features Oscar-winning screenwriter, actor Billy Bob Thornton, country music star Justin Moore, and songwriter, Oscar-winning actor Mary Steenburgen.
Skip's really excited. Skip.
He needs to mute.
Are you there, Skip? He may. Okay, we were getting
We got some feedback.
we're getting feedback, screeching noise.
So just also pointing out that we have such wonderful stories in this state that it is important for us to not only tell the stories to the people who live here, but tell our stories beyond our borders, across the country and sometimes even globally. So some examples of Arkansas PBS produced stories that have also gained some form of national production are Dreamland, Udon, which translates to Soar, 7 Days, The Opioid Crisis, Rap Squad. So there are a lot of opportunities for people to learn about Arkansas in the rest of the world, and I think that's really important. So I was recently talking to an Arkansas State representative who's very eager to see more stories of Arkansas history, and in telling him about this grant, he was just over the moon about the saving of the archives. So I know you'll all celebrate with us that's going to happen, and I want to thank you all for being here, and nice to see you. Thank you. Any questions, anybody?
Very good. Ed?
All right, thanks, John. Commissioners, we're wrapping up fiscal year 23, so another one in the can. If you look in the back of your binders, you'll see our goal tracking sheet, and you'll see how we did this year. We got to the big bulk of what we were trying to do. So really proud of the team for achieving that. I want to highlight a few notable achievements or some items since the last time we met with you guys. Not the least of which is the baseball and softball championships, which we just completed mid-May. Just another stellar production from our team. But I want to let you in on a little inside baseball, as they say, about what happened behind the scenes. So the tournament started, we were going live at 10 a.m. on Thursday. This is the first year that we were using the complex here at UCA, so the softball and baseball came to Conway for the first time this year. When our team walked in, we were using the control room at UCA that they used to broadcast there for ESPN. It's a special control room built for the college by ESPN so that they could put their games on ESPN Prime or whatever the thing is called for college sports. Our team walked in there, and the entire thing was smashed up. Like a bad, action movie. All the screens were crushed in, the audio board was smashed, the controller, which is the switcher, was destroyed, and first of all, it's like that's the last thing we expected to find. And in a matter of 2 days, our team was able to find replacement equipment for everything that we needed to launch the tournament and recover from what could have been like just a catastrophic emergency for the production. So the operations team, production, and engineering just went just above and beyond in crisis management to achieve that. Turns out that there were a couple of teenagers who wandered into the control room and decided that, hey, this seems like fun, and maybe they'd seen played Grand Theft Auto too many times and smashed up too many things, but they just decided to take heavy pieces of equipment or like pieces of metal that were in the shop there and just trash the whole thing. So could have been just a terrible situation, but our team pulled it out. So really kudos to them. Dwayne really led that initiative. So thank you guys. Want to highlight 3 new broadcast shows that are coming up. So have you all marked your calendars for August 5th and 6th for the Arkansas Treasures, our version of the Antiques Roadshow, right? So we're coming down with all our junk, and we're going to see if it's worth any money. And we've got hundreds of people who have signed up, and they're rare to come in, and we're going to evaluate that. So it's going to Arkansas version, so all the stuff has some kind of connection to Arkansas. So I mentioned that first because the production is happening on August 5th and 6th. Right here at the studio. So it's going to be quite an active day here.
When you say connection to Arkansas.
These are all Arkansas. I mean, the National Road, the Antiques Roadshow goes all around the country, internationally actually, and so people bring it in. So this is, people are going to bring in items from their, these are all local people, so they're going to bring in all things that are meaningful to Arkansas.
It didn't need to be from an article.
No, it doesn't have to be, but we imagine that the majority of them will be, and that's why it's called Arkansas Treasures. So we're really looking forward to that.
Some of us have relatives from other states.
Yeah.
Bequeath things.
Listen, I have something from Asia that I'm going to bring in. So all right. So the other one I want to mention is Celebrating Arkansas. The holiday edition, Holiday Traditions, is going to premiere in the fall. So that segment is pretty locked in, and I think we're going to show you that one in the September meeting, so that you can see that before it goes on the air. And then just today, bouncing off of what Courtney's talking about, the importance of our stories, we have a new series. It's called Homegrown, and it really showcases the people and stories that really build the character of our state. And we're in production on that right now, like literally in this meeting. That's why Levi's not here. We're in downtown Conway, shooting the wraparounds with Dawn Scott, who's a longtime anchor at THB here, and is now on our team for our Arkansas Week as well. She's a really professional and respected anchor. So she's the host of the show, and it's going to feature some of the stories that we've put in at other times, like in the sports broadcasts. But these are a way to build half-hour broadcast shows that we're going to be featuring come September, I think. But we're going to preview them June 27th and June 29th. Mark those calendars, because that's a special pledge night event. Marge and some of the people that are from the stories will be in studio, and we're going to be pledging that night, trying to get over the hump for our new member challenge, which is 2,023 people. You're going to report how close we are on that? You are, okay. So we want to get beyond that. So we're going to have 2 nights at the end of the fiscal year, showcasing sneak peek of Homegrown and special pledge nights, 2 hours each. So that's it for me. Any questions? All right, John, back to you.
Good. We're on to Lindsay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm pleased to say that the analytics that we've looked at each of these meetings, that we continue to go up. We had a slight decrease in our PBS streams in the month of May. This is looking at data for May 1st through the 31st on each of these slides. But we always love to see that all of the arrows are going up and they're all green, and especially following a sports month like Ed mentioned. In May we had baseball, softball. We always see some good trends upward on our website. You can see we had a 72% increase in the month of May. Majority of that coming from an interest in people. We tend to capture a lot of people on the website who may not watch the PBS broadcast, and that's where they can watch the games because we have them. The broadcast is live on our website as well, and so our website always sees a big spike. YouTube, we always see a big spike after sports there as well, because then we put the full broadcast after the games, we put them on YouTube for people to watch the full games, and so that really contributes to a lot of our subscriber growth on YouTube. So we are sitting just at 34,399 subscribers on YouTube right now, so that's great. Instagram, as I've mentioned in each of these meetings, that's a platform we've really been putting a lot of focus on, really trying to grow that because, as you know, state agencies in Arkansas, we're not allowed to use TikTok. That's where all of the younger audience is on TikTok, and more of the mature audience tends to gravitate towards Facebook. I'm gonna say that sensitively. And so Instagram is our Goldilocks. It sits right in between those audiences, and so it helps us capture both a younger audience, but also an aging audience as well. So we spent a lot of time there to try and boost our numbers, and happy to say that we've actually exceeded the goal that we set for ourselves for this fiscal year already. So that's great. Facebook is our largest social media audience right now. We're sitting at 31,619 people who follow us on Facebook. So it's our heavy hitter. We spend a lot of our paid advertising dollars there because that audience is so large, and the tentacles of that spread even farther. Twitter has actually seen some pretty good growth for us, even given all of the shakeup. We saw a decline right after the Elon Musk era takeover in December. We saw a slight decline, but those numbers have come back up. So we've got a good following there. A lot of it due to public affairs and Michael Hiplin's work. Michael's over in the corner. A lot of news, obviously Twitter is a lot of news, and so we see quite a few people following our news and public affairs on Twitter. And then our email audience, so email tends to it's our most volatile month over month, so I'm happy to see that's up 3.77%, putting us just under 99,000 active email subscribers right now. So we'll go on to show you what that's looking like compared to our fiscal 23 goals. So I wish this meeting was July so that I would have all of the June results in. So we could just do the full, what fiscal 23 looked like, so we'll do that in the next meeting. But as you can see, for us to have one more month left in the fiscal year, Twitter, the third up from the bottom, Twitter's already surpassed the goal. We're at 101% of our annual goal there, 102% of our annual goal for Instagram, and then actually 106% of our goal for email. And the numbers on the very far right, you can see where we were targeting. So with Instagram, we were targeting to grow that channel 20% in a year, which again, that's an aggressive goal. Email was 10. Usually a lot of marketing teams will say between 5 and 10%, unless they've already feel like they've tapped their market out, and then they'll go as low as 1 to 2% is where they'll say that they're gonna grow their audience. So you can see with YouTube, we even more aggressive, said that we would grow that 50%. So we're roughly 10% away from hitting that goal. We'll probably get pretty close to it. I don't know that the month of June is going to round that out at, but 50% wasn't a very aggressive goal to grow our YouTube subscribers. So we're pleased with all of these numbers. I will give some context around the website because you can see obviously it has trailed much further behind everything else. We are in the process. We actually have 2 of our 3 websites at about 90% completed and built and ready to launch. We're moving into the main ArkansasPBS website this month, but in the coming months we'll be relaunching brand new designs for the foundation website, the Ideas website, and then the main ArkansasPBS website, for a better mobile experience, a better search. It's just one of those things, when a website's been out there for a while, you need to clean up the content, and it needs a little TLC. So we're spending the time to do that right now. So we intentionally made the decision for this fiscal year to not drive a ton of traffic to what's not a great user experience right now. So we end up driving a lot of our traffic to social media, which is the reason you see that number kind of trailing behind. It was a bit of an intentional push for us to not overly direct our audience to the current website. But next year, that will be a big focus. With the resources that we've put into the new websites, we'll be spending a lot of our paid dollars and a lot of our paid advertising to drive people to our new websites. This chart, this line graphs of all of the same channels that we've been looking at, just shows you over the course of the year how the line has moved. So the website is the best indicator, and kind of it's most indicative of what happens with sports month. So the month of December, you can see it sort of peaked there. Basketball, Arkansas has a lot of basketball fans and followers, so we have not seen any numbers outperform basketball. So basketball had a huge peak. May had another spike because of sports. Everything else is pretty steadily increased, and then again with the PBS app, web, and over the top, that's our streaming. It's just the overall PBS streams. So they had quite a bit of national shows that came out. Call the Midwife, Veronica, Sanditon. What's the other one that I'm thinking? Was that the month of Marie Antoinette? So they kind of like put all of their premieres around March. So we skyrocketed in the month of March, and really what we've done is we've leveled back out to typical numbers that we see for streams. So even though we're down, and again this month we were down 1.67%, it's still above where we started this year. Our subscribers or our streams have grown. They just came down off of the peak in March. All right, and then I know that this is probably not thumbnails that everybody can see from where you're sitting, so I'll just cover a couple of highlights here. The top row is YouTube, so 5 of our top 10 in the month of May were sports videos that people were looking at. One of them was the baseball, softball promo, and then we started with basketball, but we've been doing highlight reels so that there's something for people to see it immediately when the games have ended, of just, again, production crew is covering both basketball and baseball, softball. I told it, we're like, you kicked an anthill. I mean, we're just all over the place. So lots of different angles capturing lots of highlights from all of the sports. So 5 of the top 10 YouTube were sports related. Local streams, those have pretty much been consistent all year. They just kind of slide around in order, with Exploring Arkansas always sitting in that top position, but again, with it being a sports month, Arkansas PBS Sports was in the 2nd position. And then with summer approaching, Dairy Bars made it back into the top 10, so it had fallen off for a bit, but if you haven't watched that's a great. I actually was telling the leadership team, we had somebody tweet us that said, Arkansas PBS has created, and again, they probably just discovered it, has created a Dairy Bars. Now that's on my summer to-do list to go and to check all of these off. So a lot of fun with that show. National streams, Tom Jones, which you see sitting there on the far left on that 3rd row, that was a new series that came out. So obviously it took the top position. Dramas are always our biggest hit, and so any new show that comes out usually is going to sit right there in that 1st position. And then again, these typically just kind of slide around in different orders of streams. Frontline, that was the first time. It's sitting over in the 9th position. That's the first time this year since I've been reporting on all of this that Frontline has made it into the mix. So that's just interesting. With we typically see a lot of news and public affairs types of things, but we have an uptick in people watching Frontline. And then this just reorganizes what you saw on that slide so that we can put this into genres so we can start to watch. This helps inform when we're thinking, obviously we're probably not going to be a shop that's going to get into the drama business. I don't think we'll be producing the next Call the Midwife. And it's always our heavy hitter, but the other categories and other genres help us keep an eye on what our audience tends to gravitate towards so that we then can produce local shows that are hitting on that. So obviously, when it's a sports month, that's going to be our second highest category, and then we always have a lot of news and public affairs. And then history and science and nature are usually the next in line for us, and the others, usually like 1 or 2 shows will come out of the other genres. So yeah, any questions or anything I need to back up to? We're, again, happy to report that numbers keep going up.
Lindsay, do you think that our sports programming is driving a lot more interest? People that generally might not look at PBS, now they see all the sports, might drive them over.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons that we do see the email subscribers go up, because we do a special set of sports e-newsletters, and so we get signups from that as well.
Yeah.
Do we have access to that slide?
It's not in your deck, but I think we could probably email that out. It's a PDF. Yeah,
Because I can't, sorry. Can't read
Yeah,
those.
Lindsay keeps us updated,
Okay,
monthly
that's
basis.
great.
so.
I really like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the next commission meeting will actually probably be more powerful because this will be a comparison of the whole year. So.
I can wait till next meeting.
All right.
So
I don't know that we need the TV anymore, Dwayne, so I'll just leave it on that last slide.
Yeah. I just want to say, for those commissioners who have been around for a while, we have stepped up our game, have we not?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Very good. Well, now, our favorite time of the report is when we get the media showcase.
We need a little song and dance intro. All right, so we've got a couple things to show you and some national programming too. We're going to start off with, we've talked about how Blueberry's Clubhouse is coming back this summer, and we're going to show you a clip from Blueberry. This year, it's the shorter 5-minute episodes, and there's much more virtual elements in it. There's stop motion animation, and the storytelling. Are we feeding back?
Get feedback somewhere. Is that the phone? It says it's not outside.
I'm on pause for feedback. Oh, there's Blueberry right over my shoulder.
Yeah. Maybe.
Still feedback.
Is that coming through the phone?
No. I'll wait because it's going to drive us all crazy. If we proceed.
First, I thought it was just me. I'm like, am I having a stroke? Anyone else?
Skip, are you hearing feedback?
Musical.
You may have muted this.
Close encounters.
Okay. Probably coming from down here somewhere. It is. I don't know. I don't think I don't know where it become. Microphones are causing it. Turn the speakers off.
Does it do that when you switch over to just what the next video is?
Should we mute the TV speakers?
Yeah.
Just fading.
Okay, we found the culprit. It was the television on screen. Okay, so I was talking about Blueberry. We're going to show you a scene. This is from our Mad Scientist episode. There's Blueberry there, and Blueberry's experiment is going all wrong. So let's watch the clip.
Double toil and trouble. My greatest achievement. Finally, I can bring it to life. Voila! It's the most inventive invention to ever be invented by me, Blueberry. It's time to try it. 3, 2, 1. The future is science. Yes. A tiny computer in the palm of my hand. Now, how do I log in? Oh, I need tiny fingers for that. Oh man, I didn't think about that.
I don't understand why I can't take a quick canoe around the lake. I'm sorry, Sophie, but I already told you. Camp Counselor Carol says you're not big enough yet.
Oh, girls.
Remember what happened last week on the canoe? How dare you throw that back in my face?
You're so tiny.
Don't drop me.
Oh no.
Oh, whoa. I'm way too small to go canoeing. Oh, Blueberry, you better fix this. I've got a softball game in 20 minutes. How am I supposed to play shortstop when I'm this short?
It's okay. It's okay. I can fix this.
It's all so now we're gonna flip it. We're going to do about face because we got the education department has a new course for teachers on how to spot signs for suicide, suicide awareness. So the story we're going to show you now is a segment that's in the course. It's about a young student named Kennedy. She was bright and vivacious. She was a sophomore at Lakeside High School in Hot Springs, and she died by suicide in the spring of 2021. And of course, it shocked everybody in her life. Now, you're going to see her mom, Sarah, in this clip. She's the principal at Fountain Lake Middle School, so she's a teacher herself, and she's using the her own personal grief journey to kind of help teachers spot some of the warning signs and what to look for. So we're going to show you an excerpt now. This is from a 15-minute story, so we're going to show you 5 minutes of this. So whenever you're ready.
I love you and you're beautiful.
So Kennedy was like a ball of light.
She was just such a pure human being, and anyone you ask would say the same thing.
And she had the biggest smile in the world.
She was extremely intelligent, smart. She was a blast to be around.
And she sat by me and she was like, we're gonna be friends. And we may or may not got in trouble for talking too much, but
if she held you, it was like she could save you from pain for like an eternity. Like it was like she had some healing powers. Like she was just born with it. I don't know, I can't explain it.
In math class, she would send me a text and be like, hey, are you okay? And like, if I was telling her I was having a bad day, she would send me a paragraph and tell me how much she loved me.
She was naturally beautiful, but I think a lot of that is her personality.
I don't think that anybody could ask for a better daughter.
And I knew that she was seeking help and everything like that, but I didn't know that it was that bad. Like she was struggling that much, because she always put on a smile and made a brave face. She was a pageant girl. She was good at that.
So I get a phone call, and she said, like, I'm pulling up in the driveway.
There was nobody else home but her, and so when I pulled up into the driveway, I could see her laying in the yard and just the bright red blood, and I just told Matt, I was like, oh my God, she shot herself. I just knew immediately what had happened. I mean, I just never, I just knew immediately, and I don't know why or how.
I'm a first responder. I've dealt with this before. I've dealt with this with other people, other people's kids. Now I'm sitting on the side of the road. The feeling of helplessness that come over me is indescribable, because I know how to do that. I should be the one there. I know how to do that. That's my thing. But I wasn't.
She started, losing consciousness, and Matt just said, you need to start CPR, and it sounds excruciating to tell someone that, but I'm so thankful to have been given those moments with her, because she was responsive to me, and that gives me a lot to hang on to, and I'm very glad that I had those last moments, with her. The 5K brings people together to have a day to remember Kennedy and the work that she did, and then also to remember any way that their life has been impacted, and to really advocate for, if I know my friend is struggling or my family member is struggling, I have to speak up. Because we know that there were people that knew that Kennedy was struggling and had expressed an interest to end her life that were not at that time brave enough to speak up. So there's no blame there at all, but it is just to encourage and to advocate that no matter how difficult the information is to share with someone, we save lives by speaking up to someone that can help.
This had to be something to help somebody else. We had to help other people through our situation. If we could save one life, if we could help one person, that all of this would be worth it. all of our pain and all of our suffering and our guilt and our doubt and our questions, all of that, none of that would matter if we could help save other people's lives.
Hold me closer, please don't leave me now.
So, just another of the terrific courses that the Education Department is putting out. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Veronica, our Manager of Programming, to talk about some of the national programs that we got coming up.
So I don't envy myself having to follow that, but we will. So with our national PBS programming, as Lindsay said, the drama is always at the top for us, and we do lean into the mysteries in the summer with the PBS programming. So this summer is no different. We have a lot of great mysteries coming this summer. Just to give you a few, and then I'll show you one. We have Grantchester, season 8 of Grantchester, premiering on July 9th, and then on September 3rd, we have another repeat of what we had in March with 3 different shows, and those will be season 2 of Professor T, season 5 of Unforgotten, and season 3 of Vandervalk. But we have something a little closer to home that we're going to show you. This Sunday, July 11th, we have the final season of Endeavor. So we're going to show you a little sneak peek of that.
Someone once told me that not every question gets an answer. I just wanted to get to the bottom of it.
Why should you risk your neck?
Because somebody has to. What of your own future? I suppose I thought things would just go on. But then they don't.
Will be a weekly drop into Passport digitally. You know, PBS has been shaking up what they do for that as far as Passport goes, but both the shows I'm going to show you are going to be weekly drops into Passport. The second one is a second season of not a drama, but really leaning into the culture shows through the popular Great American Recipe that we did last year. We're having season 2. They're really leaning into season 2, really leaning into the culture of America through food. And so we will get a sneak peek of that one as well.
This recipe has been in my Chinese family for generations.
That's perfect.
I'm excited to see what those secrets may be.
I think that's a really great way to show who you are.
Your dad would be proud because this is delicious.
Welcome back to the Great American Recipe.
And that's just a little taste of what we have coming for this summer on national programs.
John?
We love All Creatures Great and Small. It seems to take a while to get new episodes going or something.
It is renewed for another season. It will be coming, but not this summer. But there's still, it's on Passport, so you can go and get your fix anytime. And yeah, it is definitely one of those shows we have to, a nice, and we are going to do an encore later in the summer of it as well.
Yeah, we'll just probably, because we're anxious looking for it. And, we get last year's or something, and it just seems slow getting new episodes.
Of course, yeah, it just takes a while to film those, but yeah, no, it's a favorite. It's a favorite in our house too.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
No, I actually know that number off the top of my head because I pulled it for Courtney, and just local streams of All Creatures for the state of Arkansas over the course of from July, from the beginning of our fiscal year until this week. I think it was 79,000 streams is what All Creatures Great and Small has seen. So it's a very popular show in Arkansas with a lot of Arkansans that love it.
Good. Okay, well then, if we're ready to move forward, let's, Karen, talk about our finance.
It won't be nearly as
Congratulations,
exciting.
Ray. Thank you to everybody
Which is a good
here.
thing. We don't like financial surprises,
Yeah.
and we don't have any. So, yeah, it's been a great 4 months for me at ArkansasPBS. Really focused on, what we need to do to refine our fiscal and HR operations. So we've been reorganizing the fiscal team a little bit. We had 8 full-time folks assigned to the team, and we will have 9 once we finish our hiring that's underway right now. We've added a position, which is a fiscal division manager position. The goal is to achieve some redundancy across the team and not have just one person who knows how to do certain functions. And we have someone who has expressed their plan to retire in about 1.5 years, and she is a key person on this team, licensed CPA. She does a lot of the advanced accounting, and her loss will be felt if we don't mitigate it right now. So we will have the next 18 months to transition, hopefully turn her into a little bit of a training resource, and augment the team with some new folks who are also bringing great skills to the table. We made an offer a week or so ago for someone who currently works at the Department of Workforce Services. He's a licensed CPA. He has a great data background, which thrills me beyond. And to tell you, he's very astute with data, and we want to be data informed around here and use data for decision making and get better at data management for reporting, because the CPB funding in particular is reliant upon financial report, accurate financial reporting, and that funding is at risk for any station that is out of compliance. So we're going to be developing a formal compliance plan over the next, it's probably going to take 1 year to go through the whole thing, one report at a time. There's a whole lot of data that goes into the CPB reports, and we don't have a good data collection mechanism right now. So it's, past reporting has been entirely reliant upon the person doing the reporting knowing how to do it. There is not a very repeatable process in place currently. So that's a focus, and migrating our paper files to digital, which we've already begun. And I really would like to have all digital files for the fiscal division. It makes life easier for everyone, including auditors that come in. They can just grab a file out of the accounting system because it's attached to a document. So that will be a focus, and of course, a comprehensive review of our internal financial processes. I think that needs to take place, and that'll take a little while too. So I think about 1 year from now, I'll have a lot of progress to report to you all. And we expect to have the team fully on board within 30 days. So we've had turnover in a few. We'll have a fairly new team, right? We had 8 positions. 4 of those will have new people in them. And then we'll have 1 additional position. So it's an exciting time. We've got a great team. I'm really happy with the folks here now doing the work. And everyone is, I think, feeling good about the changes that are going on. I've had some direct feedback from the team that they feel really good about these changes. So what else do I need to report to y'all? Really, there is a copy of our current financials as of March 31st in your packet. And it's toward the front, right after the Deputy Director report. And at the top it says Arkansas PBS Condensed Financial Management Discussion. And there's really no news here, which is a good thing. I restructured the finances, the financial report just a little bit, and I'll refine it more as the next year goes on to make it more visual in nature. But everything looks good to me in Arkansas PBS finances. I don't have any concerns about the financial position of the commission. We have $4.2 million in our cash funds right now. As of March 31st, we had less than that. But we received the final payment from CPB in April, so that increased the cash balance. And I did put a little bit of information in here about the community service grant, just in case you all are unfamiliar. You're probably not, because you've all been here a while, with how that is structured. But there's a base component to it that is fixed every year. Next year, we were told last week, that amount is going to increase by 10.5%. So the base is going to $630,000. And then there's 3 other supplemental components that Arkansas PBS meets the criteria for and will receive again next year. And the incentive component is the one that is based on non-federal financial support, and it's variable, and there's a tiered system for allocating that portion of the fund. And it's the largest portion of the funding that we receive from CPB. So it's very important that we report accurately the non-federal financial support so that we get all of the funding that we're entitled to.
Is the incentive component, does that mean it's based on what you're already bringing in? It looks at that, and I guess I'm not really clear. Is that?
Yeah, they call it the incentive component, which is kind of a misnomer. It is based upon our non-federal financial support that we receive. So that would include things, funding that we receive from non-federal governmental sources. So, for example, the IDEAS funding that is federal in its origin. We're a sub-grantee through the Arkansas Department of Education. That would not count as non-federal financial support, right? Even though we get it from the Arkansas Department of Education. So, and your question is a good one. It really points out the importance of accurately classifying every check that we receive. And I'm going to devote a substantial amount of time over the next 30 days, well, 20 days, right, to go back through and review how those funds were classified for the current fiscal year, to make sure that we accurately report NFFS on the annual report to CPB to get the maximum amount of funding that we're eligible for.
So is it almost like a reward for your own good fundraising?
Exactly.
Got it.
Yes. And there's a minimum. Okay. You're not eligible for that incentive component if you do not bring in a minimum of $800,000 is the minimum. So.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Let's see. So if you look at the page 3, the combined statement of revenue expense and change in fund balance. This is for the 3 cash funds. That is the CSG funding that we received, the IDEAS funding, our kind of catch-all cash fund, and then our state general revenue fund also, which funds 75% of the agency's salaries and about 8% of our operating expenses, state general revenue. So I reorganized this report a little bit. There's no budgetary information on here because I would like to present that information separate from the financial statement. I think it's more meaningful to see comparative financial information last year versus this year to see if there were variances and what might be the reason for the variance. So it is ordered in most to least revenue and most to least expense. So the top line item, the IDEAS grant, under regular revenue is 20% of commission funding, and followed by, I broke out all of the foundation funding so you can see exactly what that detail looks like, but foundation funding is 18% in total of commission revenue. And then the next section, is transfers in, and of course state general revenue is our biggest transfer from the state of Arkansas, and that's 44% of our total funding that we receive. Do you all have any questions about revenue?
I do. On the supplemental grants that have a fixed spending period, do they govern what you spend it on each of those? So, you have $36,000. That doesn't do a lot, right?
Right.
Do you have specific things that has to be spent for?
The, in reference to the CPB funding that we received, the 3 supplemental components.
Right, the supplement, yeah.
Yeah.
CSG, yeah.
The distance service grant is the one that has some more specific requirements, and the other 2 components of the supplemental funding probably also have specific criteria, and this is an area that I need to drill into. So there's a whole set of requirements sitting behind each of these funding areas, and this is new to me because I didn't previously work in public media. And if you don't work in public media, you're not going to have experience with CPB. So it's my top focus, I would say, right now, just to make sure I understand that and that we're managing to it.
Are they primarily equipment related?
I would think so, based on like the interconnection grant. That's all related to technology.
It's related to the interconnection between us and PBS. It's like an interconnection system for the whole PBS system.
Right, and then also the spending period we have to pay attention to, because one of those components has a 1-year spending period. The rest have a 2-year spending period, but those funds you have to be able to demonstrate that the funding has been spent within 2 years, or you have to return it.
And they can't subsidize operating cost, I'm guessing?
No, this funding, there's a very wide range of station expense that is eligible to be covered by these funds in general.
But is it over and above budget, or can it be cost of doing business, in other words, to keep your connections, or do you have to look for new things to spend it on, is my question?
I don't believe so.
No, it's all included in the CSG.
I'm sorry.
CSG. It's all included
in the CSG.
It's just they just break it out for clarity, transparency.
And so we do have to make sure that we spend it within the allowable spending period, and that we spend it on allowable expenses, and that we discreetly track the funds and the expenses associated with it. Those are the 3 main elements. So. And if the station had an OIG audit several years ago, and with good results. So, I'm confident that we're doing a pretty good job with this. a lot of this is related to the fact that it's new to me, and I want to focus additional attention on it so that I can have proper oversight of the program. And we do need some documentation, because there's a lot of program rules associated with it. So, yeah. Any other questions about CPB? So, of course, payroll is our biggest expense. It's about half of our operating costs, and 75% of that is paid by state general revenue. And they make available additional funding at the end of every fiscal year. It's called performance funding, and it's to be used in the event that your need for payroll funds slightly exceeds the amount of general revenue that you still have available to you. So we typically use a bit of performance funding every year, and this year it'll be about $200,000. Our broadcast program license is our largest expense, and the variance that you see is related to expense timing only. The actual amount spent on the broadcast program license from last year to this year is about the same. It's just that the bill was not paid in the same period each year, so it looks like there's a large variance because all of this information is reported on a cash basis. We don't do any accruals until the end of the year, where we take our financial statements from cash basis to accrual basis.
So when we create programs and Courtney says they've garnered national attention or whatnot, we don't get any licensing fees if other stations pick those up?
It depends on the distribution method.
Okay.
Certain ones, yes, certain other, no.
Okay.
Yeah, and the biggest component of that number 2 expense, broadcast program license, is of course the annual PBS dues. And then electricity went up substantially this year. We placed 3 new transmission towers in service and 4 microwave sites, and they eat a lot of electricity. So the bill's gone up 30% this year. And our leases all have a clause whereby the lease amount increases after a certain period. Most of them are annual, so the lease expense will go up a little bit every year. This year it's been 7%.
Is that like a cost of living increase, or what is that? It's just written into the lease, the amount?
It's just whatever the owner of the property, it's a negotiation.
They come up for renewal every now and then, and it always goes up when it's renewal time.
It doesn't go down.
Yeah.
Right, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Ann has a question.
When you say the electricity costs have gone up, 30% is pretty dramatic. What's the total dollar increase? Does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
An increase of 30%, I mean, without a dollar figure, I don't know.
It's $100,000.
100,000 more, okay, I was trying to find it over here.
Yeah.
Are the rents and leases mostly for the towers?
Yeah.
They are.
So it's the cost of expanding our signal and footprint to the people of Arkansas. I mean, there is a cost related to port.
Well, I mean, I think those costs, and whenever we're talking about the program needs to outsiders, I mean, those are worthwhile. I mean, just, hey, here's a for instance.
Right.
We want to serve all communities, but as you said, there's a cost.
There's a cost for that.
Knowing what that is, you don't want to over-exaggerate what that cost is. 30% significant, but 100,000 is significant too.
Yeah.
Right, and that doesn't even reflect the capital cost, because most of that capital was paid with one-time federal funds through ARPA grants and CARES Act grants, and those have been spent. And we didn't quite have enough funding to complete some projects, and the foundation kicked in, funding, not related to the towers, but master control. So, and we still have capital funding needs for tower maintenance, building maintenance. Those things we're really not able to afford right now with, and maintain a certain cash balance. So those are things that we are exploring options for. For example, our fleet is quite old, and Arkansas Highway and Transportation Department has a translease program whereby you have to meet certain criteria that we believe Arkansas PBS will meet because it maintains the state's emergency broadcast network, and we think that will make us eligible for 0% interest funding for a capital lease through Highway and Transportation Department. It's a 4-year payment term, and they negotiate those contracts with various vendors, and it's a really good deal for a state agency. So we're going to be looking into that.
We have some trucks that have like 400,000 miles on them.
Along that line, then, would it be possible? I'm not trying to ask for a ton more work out of anyone, but ongoing needs that anticipated revenue needs, like outside the normal, like the trucks. Could that be included in the future?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we have.
Because I think, again, as we go out of here as representatives of this, it's good for us to say, look, yeah, we have this budget, but these are things that if we're going to keep this job up, we have to plan. We can't just ride along as is. So
Right, repair the leaky roof.
Yeah, leaky roof is first on the
very
list.
expensive, almost $1 million just for the roof.
So those kinds of things, I don't know if anybody else would agree, but.
Yeah.
And the fact that we had that one-time money and that's not an ongoing source of revenue.
Right. Yeah. So there are some footnotes on the final page. I think I've talked through
We can always cover
most
some
of
of this
them.
detail
Right.
too
Yeah.
later. They can
Karen, I do
ask
have a question about the roof. Do we own the building? Why are we
Yes.
paying for the roof?
Yes.
Okay, that was
Thanks.
Thank you.
Very good. Sir.
All right.
Okay, Marge, I think you're up.
All right, thank you. Nice to see all of you today. So just a few pieces of information to share. I'll start with the new member challenge. Not to diminish the need for continuing support, but we have actually reached our goal for the new member challenge as of yesterday. So we're at 102% of that right now. I want us to we decided, because it was 2023, that we would set a goal of 2023 new members. So now I want to get to 123% of that goal. So that's going to be our stretch goal through the end of this month. And on the 27th and 29th, when we have our sneak preview of Homegrown and our special pledge nights, we're really going to be focusing on the need for local production support. And that is, as you know, something that is incredibly important and a real part of the identity of Arkansas PBS. So that's going to be our primary focus on those evenings of fundraising. For FY23, I will have more specific details for you in September because, of course, the fiscal year is not quite over yet, and it is not over for fundraising until midnight on June 30th. But we do anticipate that we will see growth this year, not as robust and extensive as the last 2 years, but we will see revenue growth. And more importantly, I think we will see that the support, the foundation support of the network, we're anticipating that will end up being about 27 to 29% more than last fiscal year. That is driven largely by the investment in master control. But I'm very pleased that even in a year when we may not see as robust of contributed revenue growth, that we're still going to see significant growth of our support for the network, because that, of course, is the reason we exist. So more to share on that in the coming months. We are starting FY24 in a really good place in terms of support of the network. You heard about the archive grant, which we are very, very happy about. That same funding source, ANCRC, also provided a grant for support of Arkansas Treasures. That, along with a grant from the Susan Howard Foundation, puts support of Arkansas Treasures at over $100,000 going into the new fiscal year, so that's a great place to be. And then we also had a grant from a private family foundation of $25,000 to go into the local production fund. So that's another, again, we want to keep feeding that local production fund to give the network as much flexibility as we can for support of local productions. We love it when we can get grants for things like Arkansas Treasures, but we also know that there are things that come up, opportunities that come up that we don't always have time to get specific grant funding for. So that local production fund really gives the network a level of the ability to be nimble in response to opportunities when they arise. I will say, Arkansas Treasures, yes, please mark your calendars, August 5th and 6th. We would love to see you there, either bringing treasures from your attic. There will also be a great number of volunteer opportunities over that weekend. So whichever you would choose to do, we would love to see you there. And then I will finish with saying that, one of the strategic goals that the foundation board set for this year and the coming years is for the foundation to really lean into helping to build the brand of Arkansas PBS in any way that we can, and in finding out more about what our audience thinks. So with that, we're actually doing a little tour of farmers markets this summer. So the foundation will be at a handful of farmers markets around the state. This summer we'll be, we've already done some in Conway and in Hot Springs, and we will be in El Dorado and Jonesboro and Bentonville. And it's just a really lovely opportunity to actually connect with our audience. I went to the first one that was here in Conway over at Hendricks Village, and so many of the people who came up to the booth are in fact already members and supporters, and they thanked us for being there. They thanked Arkansas PBS for everything that it provides, and it was really fun to have that opportunity to connect with them and to really kind of provide some personal stewardship for our donors, which we don't always have a chance to do in person. So that is all I have, unless you have questions.
I have one question. Are you branding those donors? Like when they walk away, are they saying I heart PBS or something like that? I'm
You
serious.
mean like a tattoo?
Yeah. Well, not that extreme.
We are giving away a lot of swag, so we actually have a spinning wheel that people can come up and spin, and they get a window cling or a button or a mug or something along those lines. So that was another piece of recommendation from our foundation board this year was don't be stingy with the swag. Get that swag out there, because it is a way for us to just keep the name of Arkansas PBS on everybody's sites all the time. So.
We're good? Then the next item on our agenda says transition of chairmanship.
No,
We
it
have
says
item
report
4.
from PBS annual
Oh,
meeting.
Boy, somebody's eager.
You can't get out.
Hey, Courtney, he still doesn't have this down after
But you're a quick study, right? Yeah. So just quickly, because we're running a little over, but PBS Annual was fantastic this year. We took a handful of staff, and Lindsay and Veronica went to get a bigger picture the whole system. I think there was a lot of learning that went on. Southern Storytellers was part of the main stage presentation. We were lucky to be given a panel to do, so we had filmmaker Craig Renaud, Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Jericho Brown, Southern Book Award winner, prize winner David Joy, and country music artist Valerie June, all on the panel, and it was fun. I moderated. I didn't pass out or anything, so that's good.
Courtney did a fantastic job.
Did anyone record that?
Yeah.
It's recorded, and I think they're going to be putting it on.
Yeah, we'll send you guys the link when
they haven't done that yet.
And I know that for those of us who who were there, Lindsay, a lot of people were just raving about the panel, and a lot of people said it was just the best, myself included, best panel of the whole.
I mean, who can fail with those people on it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was amazing.
Great showcase for the station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's unless anybody has anything else to weigh in on, we will move on to the transition of the chair.
Yeah, well, I was trying to make this simple. There is because we've got an executive session coming up, there is a form for that. So I was trying to think, all right, how should we do this? But, I don't know how structured we are. It's been kind of interesting that Skip has continued on. Skip, are you with us? Okay, bless your heart. Yeah, we have responsibility for oversight and for advisory, both for the station and our executive and legislative and so forth. We have responsibilities, but unlike my service in the state senate, apparently term limits do not exist. But I think it's important, given this body, we are a group of all leaders. And so it's a privilege certainly to sit in and kind of keep things running, but we all have a role, a responsibility, and I think it is intended that the chairmanship move around, and we've had some discussions about that. And I think certainly my time has come, and as we go forward. So rather than making this, we haven't, after the executive session, which is important, and Wes is ready to kind of lead us in that part of the session. I think we can go forward, and then we can have maybe some hurrah, he's gone comments at the end after we come back. But I'll hand you the symbolic microphone there, and then I didn't give this to you, but this the script that we need to.
Oh, I have to use. Well, let me see that if I've got it.
Okay, you do that, and I'll make the motion to move into executive session.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically we just need to tell people who are watching that there will be an executive session, and then we'll turn all of the contact off, and then come back on when we come back to the executive session.
Gotcha. Well, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of individual officers and employees. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
There's a second. At this time, the commissioner will be taking a break to go into executive session.
West is going to start the meeting.
Yes, we're back in from executive session, and the next issue is we'll have comments from the commissioners. Anybody have comment?
This is when we recognize
Yeah, we're gonna do that here in a second.
Okay, so I'll hold that.
So you hold up.
Yeah, I have different comments, so that is, Courtney, when you go, and you and I have talked about this, as you go to the national PBS, just encouraging them to create content that features stories of diverse stories with diverse characters in mysteries, in dramas, right? To continue to do that. That, to me, that's very important. And then I just had a question about, I'm just nosy, what is going to be the, what are some of the new bells and whistles as the new website rolls out?
Oh, well,
Lindsay's not here,
we
but
lost our bells and whistles spokesperson.
I can answer some of that.
Yeah.
It's going to look way more modern than what we have now. I think that
And it's going to be far more functional and easy to navigate.
Easier to navigate. There'll be a lot of built-in metrics that we get from it that we don't get from our current website, that we have to set up extra, like Google Analytics to, like a separate dashboard for it. It'll all come built in. And then right now, if we want to make a change to our website, we have to have our, like webmaster actually do this.
Right.
But the new website comes with a content management system built in, so that anybody from the marketing department can quickly write up, something and update the website. So it's just going to make it much more functional for our team as well.
Would it be possible to make the app more functional as well?
Yes, and in fact, we're, this word.
Which app?
The which app? Because there's
Like the TV app?
oh yeah, that's on PBS.
There's a lot put in that direction.
Okay.
There is.
Right.
Okay.
So, hope that answered your question.
I don't know my license plate.
I just want to say how pleased I am, obviously with everybody's work, but Marge, for the archives being taken care of, that's very exciting to me.
Well,
like that's so big that this work
endures.
So I think that was really
And,
exciting.
and I have to give a shout out really truly to Dwayne and to David Elmore, because it's it's very technical, and it is not something that I could have written on my own. So it was definitely a team effort.
It's exciting.
Something we've been working on for a long time, and we finally had the dance partner to help us get in front of somebody and fund it. So
awesome.
Team effort.
Thank you so much for that.
Anybody else? Well, now we'd like to, we've got some gifts for John and a resolution.
You gonna read the resolution, what?
Yeah.
Well, make sure we get near your mic.
Oh, yeah. Plastic. Get from the mic, and then we'll give a brief resolution.
Oh, resolution. Well, first I want to say is that Courtney and I had a discussion about this, and she's trying to check me, as she usually does. And she said, well, Wes, John is, he's a pretty humble guy, and we don't want to embarrass him and get him upset with us. And I told her, well, Courtney, he's just going to have to be mad at us. That's all there is to it. And I think I've known John through the years. And I'm saying, what word do I think of that describe John? And I'd say foundational. And what I mean when I say that is, if you have a ship going through a storm, you want this man in the captain's seat.
Well said.
In every institution, every organization he's been involved with through his career has prospered. And so have we, from his input. Not only from his experiences in the legislature, but also his contacts outside of that area, his work into Arkansas PBS, maybe more than that. I don't know what the total figure is. And this is where Courtney didn't want me to embarrass him, but it's that's what I call.
Just make sure it's close to the truth.
Yeah, I've got a little room to exaggerate. I'm a chairman now. Okay?
You're a lawyer, right?
Yeah, a lawyer. But that's what I mean by foundation. It's every organization would love to have John Brown involved, and I know that we're pretty glad to have had him throughout these years. It's been wonderful. And John, we got some gifts. I'm not sure.
Well, why don't you read the resolution?
Okay.
Or do you want to say that till after the gifts?
Yeah.
It's up to you, your chairs.
She keeps saying that, but then she's always giving me directions.
Welcome to my world.
Okay, here's the resolution. Now, this would kind of embarrass me too, but it's whereas John Brown has served faithfully as a member of the Arkansas Education and Television Commission from May of 2015 to present, and whereas John Brown has served for 2 years as the chair of the Arkansas Education and Television Commission from July of 2021 through June of 2023, and whereas John Brown demonstrated his diplomacy and leadership by successfully marshaling Arkansas PBS through a time of unprecedented growth and relevance. And whereas John Brown has worked diligently to preserve and secure state funding for Arkansas PBS, as well as federal funding for public broadcasting. And whereas John Brown has been a champion for Arkansas PBS and public television to the elected leaders of our state and nation, even leading successful delegations to Washington, D.C. on behalf of Arkansas PBS and public media. And therefore, be it resolved that the Arkansas Education Television Commission commends John Brown for his resolute leadership and service as chairman of the commission, and expresses deep appreciation for his dedication and friendship to Arkansas PBS.
Hear, hear.
I'm going to pass this down and let everybody sign it, John.
Well, we're gonna do a nicer version of that and frame it.
And glasses.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we need to sign this one or not?
No.
Okay.
Okay, John, Courtney went out and got you a couple gifts. I told her I thought we needed a new BMW. But she said, you being the humble guy you are, you'd rather have these. Yeah.
Well, bless your hearts. Thank you all. And should I open these?
Yeah.
Should I open them later or what?
Just open it now. You can read the cards later. I'm gonna start with the bigger one.
See, you have to put up with it now.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
It's a doorstop.
Well, it's probably a little bit of history too, which is what I enjoy.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit of history. Through a particular lens.
And I appreciate the commendation, and I'm glad that I was alive and here to hear it. Sometimes you get those after you're gone. You think it's a eulogy or something.
This is Ken Burns' photography book, and it's just amazing. And when you read it, notice that the opposing pages kind of speak to each other. It's really well done.
That's really nice.
That's really nice.
Well, yeah, our history.
So who's going to write the history of Arkansas PBS?
There we go.
We need to have. I'm a not history. Not something
I
I'm
ended
proud
up
of.
writing about 3/4 of a 100-year history of John Brown University.
You did.
Because our current president thought each president should make a contribution. Well, my grandfather and my father were gone, so I wrote 75 years of JVU history, and it was really rewarding. I enjoyed doing that, and some others. The little history of the Wingate Foundation, Bill Hutchison.
Oh, wow.
Dee Dee is, of course, still alive, 97 years old. But I worked for them for 27 plus years. And I've just been blessed in everything I've done. The legislature, JBU, Wingate Foundation.
Arkansas PBS.
And I've met such wonderful people. Just, you know, just lift my heart. This is a good state. These are good people. And we're all trying to do a good job together. And that's been rewarding for me. So thank you, thank you. But I do think that there's a time and a place, you know. The time marches on. There's some good people out there who need to take Skip's position and my position. Yeah, but we'll find out.
So this is the poetry of Mr. Rogers. It's a children's book, so it's for you to read to your grandchildren.
I just had the 5-year-old, the 2.5-year-old at our house for a week. Yeah, and we'll see them again. We're all going to Florida together in a couple of weeks. So, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
These are all notes from me.
Are you cool? Yeah.
Some of
Any other comments for John?
I'll cherish these and take them with me. So.
Any other comments?
Just thank you for everything.
Very classy.
It's time to move on, Madam Chair. Executive Director, Mr.
I'm the deputy director.
Yeah.
We will entertain a motion to adjourn. Chair.
I make the motion. Second.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Skip, we're adjourned.
Also,